Even in a free society, it seems there is a need for secrets, especially when you talk about national security. But what happens when national security comes at the expense of the environment and human lives? That's the question that's being posed right now in the Nevada desert at a place that's been described as out of this world, a place where some people say that secrets can be deadly.
And I've seen some weird stuff, like little lights flopping around the sky.
They're working with unearthly technologies out there, alien technologies.
The most important thing to remember is when you go over there, you see a sign, do not pass the sign.
Nevada Highway 375 shoots across the high desert landscape in what seems like an endless straight line. It might as well be a road to the Twilight Zone because it takes us to a place that doesn't exist. Somewhere beyond these mountains, 2.5 hours outside of Las Vegas, there is a secret air base where spy planes like the Stealth Fighter and the Blackbird first tested their wings. You won't find the base on any map, but you will find it in these old satellite pictures we discovered, taken by both the Soviets and the US government. We see runways, buildings, and what looks like large trenches. What are they for? What do people do there? For some unofficial answers, we stopped at the nearest town we could find, tiny Rachel, Nevada. One dog, one flagpole, and one bar called the Little Alien. Good afternoon.
Hi there.
What do you think goes on out there?
There's things over there that would boggle anybody's mind.
And I think there's a lot of aliens out there.
You see a lot of different things that sometimes is not wise to talk about.
Are the aliens studying us, or are we studying them? That's my opinion.
People here tell us about seeing strange lights in the sky and about rumors of captured UFOs stored in secret hangars. But just down the road, we hear a different story at the Area 51 Research Center.
The alien stories that emerge around here, most of these are, I believe, are nonsense.
Glenn Campbell quit his job with a computer company to work full-time uncovering the inner workings of Area 51.
This is the best publicized secret base in the country, yet the government won't acknowledge it's there.
How long have you been looking into this base?
I've been here for 2 years.
And what do you know about what happens in that base? How much do you really know?
I really don't know. I know the physical layout of the base. I know some of the routine procedures of the base. But I don't know what's going on in there, and frankly, a lot of the workers don't know what's going on in there.
It's a holdover of the Cold War, a mysterious desert base with no name, the perfect place for a government to keep its secrets, and allegedly the perfect place to commit a crime.
I think you'd be shocked at the abuses of human rights, working conditions in the environment, most definitely about the protection of the environment.
Base workers risking imprisonment came forward to tell us how government contractors allegedly used Area 51 as a secret dumping ground. They describe how under armed guard, classified materials were dumped into large open trenches and set on fire.
The flames and the black, blue, and white smoke would form clouds. It was so thick. And if the wind was blowing in your direction where you were working, you got it all.
The workers tell us they developed health problems after breathing the smoke. They say their complaints were ignored and requests for protective clothing were denied.
They put thousands of people in jeopardy. And they don't care. I used to think the government cared, but I don't anymore.
Helen Frost learned that her husband, Bob, a sheet metal worker, was often ordered to enter the trenches unprotected to retrieve burned materials. After working at the base for 7 years, he developed some unexplained rashes. Sometimes they were so severe, his skin would crack open and bleed.
And everybody could see that he was gradually deteriorating. And there was nothing we could do. We didn't even know why or what was causing it.
In 3 years, Bob's body was covered with painful open sores. Sworn to secrecy, he could not tell doctors about the burning or about the smoke that he was breathing. It's a secret that Helen believes may have cost him his life.
He asked me if he could die. He came to me one day, he said, I can't take it anymore. Because I kept telling him, you've got to hang in there until we find out what's wrong. And he just said, I can't do it anymore. And he died that day. So that's what it's like.
After his death, Helen Frost says she confronted a base manager who denied there was any burning of classified wastes. But tests on tissue samples from Bob's body would tell a different story. They revealed he was exposed to substantial quantities of chemicals containing dioxins and furans, and that continued exposure to smoke could result in the above normal levels found in tissue samples.
This case is whether the government will police itself the way it polices corporations. And let me tell you something. If this was a corporation, there'd be people going to jail right now.
Law professor Jonathan Turley represents Mrs. Frost and base workers in a suit against the military. But how do you sue a base that doesn't exist?
We've only asked one question in discovery, and that is, what is the name of this facility?
And what did they say to you?
They said that we don't understand the question.
What's the big deal about making the government admit that it exists?
Once you admit that the base is there, you become liable for any crimes that may have gone on there.
Glenn Campbell calls himself an activist for greater openness. With the workers' case stymied by concerns over national security, he feels a more direct action is needed.
Now it will be America's easiest to find secret base.
We followed Campbell and about 30 other amateur spies to a ridge on public land, where part of Area 51 is actually exposed to public view.
What do you think is hiding behind that ridge?
Jimmy Hoffa.
The plan is simple. Just make yourself comfortable and enjoy the scenery.
Here, honey, or over there?
Oh, can I get one?
Sure.
I can see some of it right now.
Yeah, I can see it.
With a pair of binoculars, the nondescript buildings and hangars we found are surprisingly easy to see.
Government gets a spy on us all the time. Now we can spy back.
But as it turned out, we weren't the only ones lurking in the desert that day. Guards in white vehicles appeared in the distance, watching us as we watched the base.
And he's looking at us.
He's looking at you, actually.
He's looking at me, looking at him.
If there is some humor to be found in the moment, it is quickly lost in the seriousness of the workers' dilemma. They claim to be harmed by illegal burning that did not occur at a place that did not exist. Seeing the base is one thing. Forcing it to give up its secrets is another.
As long as Area 51 remains secret, there's no obligation for it to obey the environmental laws, the labor laws, or the worker right laws that everybody else has to obey.
If they don't clean up their act, every one of them's going to end up with cancer or something. They're going to die.
We contacted an Air Force spokesperson who would not comment on the alleged burning, but she did tell us that the Air Force now acknowledges the presence of an operating facility. This does not help the workers' case, however, because in court the military continues to argue that saying anything more about this secret base would imperil American lives. Stay with us. We'll be right back.